This is Bleav in Buckeyes. I'm Bryant with All-American quarterback Chimdi Chekwa. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. Chim, we broke it down previously. We played in the Big Ten Championship. It did not go our way. We lost the game 13-10, and because of that, we fell all the way down to number 2 in the rankings, getting ready for these college playoffs. How you doing over there? Are you obviously you fired up? It's playoff time. It's all on
playoff time.
We've been waiting for this.
It's playoff time. I don't like the drop to 2. I was really hoping for a drop to the 3 seed. Just anticipating the bracket. Okay. I would really like to play an Ole Miss or a Tulane. Someone who doesn't have a head coach, right? But it is what
JMU.
it is.
I think JMU lost their coach as well.
JMU. One of those types of teams. But at the end of the day, the draw is the draw. Right. I do think Ohio State, if I look at the bracket, I do think out of the top 4 teams, Ohio State probably has the toughest draw if I'm looking at it. I don't know. You can go back and forth. It's Oregon or, the win of Alabama. I don't know. But at the end of the day, you're gonna have to play a good team. You're gonna have to win some games. And I think the real story is, at least the story that, we've heard everybody talk about is it the right 12 teams in the playoffs? So, a lot to talk about when it comes to the playoffs. For
real. Yeah, and that's for sure. I don't know. Everything is debatable, like you say. Yes, did they get the teams right? At first glance, I'm going to have to say, yeah. If you say we got the toughest path, I'm going to have to say, nah. But that's just my quick opinion of the situations, man. But, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. So, obviously, Ohio State falls to 2. We still maintain having a bye week when it comes to the playoffs. Indiana hosts the number 1 seed spot. Obviously, they're the only team that's undefeated, right? So, they hold their spot. 3 Georgia, Texas Tech is 4. We all get byes. But I guess the real shakeup is obviously it's 5-12. And that's when things start to get debatable. You got your at-large teams, and then you got some of your conference champions in there. Let's start off first with, I don't know, I guess the shakeup of the whole thing. It's really, and everything kind of stems around this. It's the ACC. The ACC has a championship game where they put Virginia in there, who was ranked, I think, 17th, 18th at the time. But instead of putting one of the other, I think it was 4 of the teams in the conference that was ranked, they put in Duke due to however they kind of figure out tiebreakers over there, who had 5 losses. And then Duke goes on to win that game in overtime, will really kind of open the door for the madness from that standpoint. So, I don't know. But because of that, there's a rule from looking at things, learning more as everybody does about these things. The top 5 ranked conferences champion gets the automated bid. So that's how you slide JMU in there. You slide Tulane in there. And then, once again, the ACC shaking things up. They had to get a team in there. They're feeling generous. They put Miami in there, meaning Notre Dame is out. Feel bad for the fighting. What's it talking?
Fighting Irish. Yeah, the Fighting Irish. Yeah, there you go. Irish. Do I feel bad for them? No. Don't necessarily feel bad for them. Do I think they are one of the top 10 or 12 teams? Yes. Now, I'm gonna preface what I say by this. If you're one of the teams that is around 9, 10, 11, 12, and if you get left out of the playoffs, oh well, man. It used to be 14, right? You expand the playoffs, not so much for the team 11 and 12, but more so for, team 5, 6, 7, and 8. Like those other teams that deserve a real shot at competing. Now, I say that, I do think if I was to stack up the teams in terms of where I think how the talent falls, I would actually have Notre Dame as like a top 6 or 7 team, honestly, in terms of how they've been playing to close out the year. They started off their schedule with 2 tough games to start the year, and they lost both of them because their defense wasn't fixed at that point. Then they fixed the defense and things changed, but it's too late. You can't get those games back. That's why I think you don't schedule like that. And what's funny to me is, Texas and others saying we're not going to have these tough out of conference schedules to start the year moving on because of this. Yeah, you probably shouldn't. Listen, yes, it's good for ratings, it's good for fans and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you need to be prepared for those games. If you can't prepare for week 1 and 2, and don't play those tough games early on. I think at the end of the day, with the college football playoff decision making, doesn't matter if it's 2 teams, 4 teams, 12 teams. They expand to 16 or 24. There's a bunch of human beings deciding how they're going to shuffle these teams around that don't necessarily play each other, don't always play against the same types of teams, etc. It's always going to be imperfect approach. There's always going to be somebody left out who you think should be in. And that's just the reality of college football. So kind of is what it is.
I don't know. I like you said, I kind of could agree that. I feel once again, I'm not gonna say I feel bad. I feel bad for my man M Free, for
Right.
Marcus Freeman. That's our guy. And obviously, we seen what Notre Dame did in the playoffs last year, right? They got into the playoffs. I don't know how many losses they had coming into I don't know if they had one. I don't recall. But obviously, they made it to the championship game, so they proved that and deservedly so. Like in the playoffs, they was definitely the number 2 team in those playoffs, and obviously Ohio State ran away with it, but they got themselves right back in it, and it made itself a very close game for Ohio State to win.
I think they're a better team this year, personally.
Right. Their quarterback, we know how, their quarterback kind of got around the playoffs. He couldn't really figure out how to throw the ball. He had to run everything, and he was a warrior. He got it done. But as he got a quarterback that looks like he might be able to make some completions when the game is on the line. So that things didn't shake out for him. But I think the committee got it right that if you had to flip a coin between who was getting in, Miami, Notre Dame, Alabama, out of those 3 teams, off what happened this season, I feel like they got it right. Definitely when a team like Miami plays Notre Dame and beats them. But the head scratcher of this whole thing is, and probably the head scratcher for Notre Dame is, this is not the first poll that the college playoff team came out with. Nothing essentially changed. All these teams, and once they come out with the poll, these teams won. Yeah. But for whatever reason, Notre Dame was ranked higher than Miami all the way up until the final poll. Chim, you're on the college football playoff committee. What changed? What changed? Tell me.
Nothing changed. I mean, I think they came out in the initial college football playoff ranking and gave their honest assessment at that time that Notre Dame was here and Miami, based on that time, was further back. And they got a lot of pushback, probably from the ACC, from others that say, well, hey, these 2 teams played each other. They got the same record. Doesn't really make sense. And as time goes on, Miami plays more games because the season is still going. That's the crazy thing. And then Miami is playing good football. Honestly, towards the end of the season, they're playing good football. And this is throughout the course of 11, 12 or so games, you have these situations where guys don't stay locked in. They're not playing good. Can they continue to improve? Yes. And that's what Miami did. And what was interesting to me is how they just moved Notre Dame back. They moved Bama up after a week, but Bama didn't actually play good football. Moved Notre Dame back just to get them closer to that Miami comparison. Miami kind of creeped their way up. Now you had a situation where they were really beating right next to each other in the polls after BYU losing the game. And now you can kind of justify bringing in that head-to-head, which is just, it's just people making stuff up, right? If I was taking a true assessment, to me, Alabama, who had a great run during the season, so you can, you'd argue that they've earned their spot, right? Beating Georgia, beating Missouri, beating Vanderbilt. But Alabama is not a better team than Notre Dame. I can say this with confidence. And part of the reason I can say this with confidence is as I watched Alabama early on, even when they beat Georgia, I watched the way they beat Georgia. To me, they beat Georgia it felt like when Boise State beat Oklahoma back in 2006 or so. Right? It was like the team that should lose had a great game plan, great approach, great focus, and they got this win. And to me, that wasn't a sustainable way for Bama to continue to do this week in and week out. They can't run the ball. They can't stop the run, right? And they got Ty Simpson back there just throwing the same route concepts over and over again. At some point, it's just not going to work. And you saw that when they played Georgia again. But at that point, it's too late, right? They have the resume. They've done kind of what they needed to do. The teams that they played towards the end of the year weren't very good. So even though it was close to them losing, You know, they limped their way across the finish line. I think they struggle in the playoffs, and I think we really miss out on a really good team in Notre Dame. All right, Buckeye Nation, let's keep it 100. The holiday season is busy. You got shopping, parties, flights to catch, and business still has to get done.
And somehow the world gets a little bit nasty. You got coughing, sneezing. You got kids running around, passing germs left and right. That's why you got to stay locked in with Buckeye vitamins.
Yeah, I take the Buckeye vitamins. And the best part is that Buckeye is made for the whole family. So everybody in the house can stay ready and everybody can stay healthy.
So whether you're closing deals, visiting family, friends, or just traveling or just out to eat with your family, keep Buckeye vitamins as part of your routine.
Yeah, more energy, stronger immune system, no slowing down, and that's really the holiday flex. So head to buckeye.com and take care of yourself this season.
Use the code TEAMFAMILY for 25% off your first order, and that's buckeye.com. Stay healthy, stay locked in, and go Bucks.
Go Bucks. But what's interesting is Notre Dame opts out of the bowl game. So what do you think that's about, and how does that affect, I guess, college football moving forward? Because they're not the only team that opt out.
No, they're not. And I feel like I don't recall, I'm going to say this, I don't recall seeing so many teams opt out of bowl game, especially a team with 10 wins on a year. So Notre Dame really took the approach of, we didn't get to the big dance, we're going to take our ball and we're going to go home. Like, we're not participating in any of these things. And I don't know. I don't like that approach because to me, obviously this didn't go your way, but obviously you got a new season coming. You have a lot of young guys. If you got a lot of guys that's not going to play now that you're not in the playoffs, they're going to go get ready for the NFL, or they're going to enter their name in the transfer portal. You still got a team of young guys here who's been with you for a season. They probably started in the spring. They went through fall camp. They didn't practice for 12 weeks throughout the season. And you need to evaluate these games. And so when they tell me you're not going in the bowl game, like, are you going to practice? Because we know how, as former college athletes, how crucial that month of practice is, especially for your young guys. Your older guys are kind of getting through a season. They kind of, recuperating a little bit, getting ready for that final push. And for these guys, it's the playoffs or that final game that you get to play with your guys. But for your young guys, you're going after it. Like, you're taking live snaps. You're playing real football in between there. You're working on things at live speed, and you're developing as a college athlete. So to say you're not participating, I'm going to have to assume that you're not going to have these practices. So to me, that's a disjustice for those young guys who's, once again, trying to prove themselves in their system. In this case, Notre Dame or any other schools that opted out. I think we got like Auburn, Iowa State, Baylor. It's a good list of teams that state Rutgers that say that they're not going to participate. I was just like, I don't get it. But obviously, I don't know. But college football has changed. It's a whole different approach. You didn't make the big dance. You got teams putting out statements, hey, we're going to get focused on the 26th season. So then what that mean? They're locking in on NIL. Who can we pay? Who's leaving? Who's getting into the portal? Who's staying? What do we need? Who are we about to, circle in the transfer portal and give a call and put an offer out with some dollars attached to it? It seems like a lot of work. We've seen Ohio State kind of take this approach a couple years ago. We didn't make the big dance. We played Missouri, and we was never prepared to play that game at all.
Not
at all. And it showed once we kind of hit the field, and we was confused as Buckeye Nation. But then the players kind of said it like, we barely even practice. Right? They start focusing on other things. So
that's my thing, and that's why my head goes to immediately is that game when Ohio State doesn't make the playoffs. They go play Missouri. I almost treated that game just like, let's get some young guys involved. They get these young guys some opportunities, which I won't say they dismissed it because it was an opportunity for some of those young guys to go out there and play and for us to kind of see what you have. And then you end up with Lincoln, who hadn't had any reps all year, really forced into that game. Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, initially when I saw it, I'm like, man, you kind of quitting. But I just fully changed my perspective. I honestly feel like because college football, with the way they've handled the scheduling, the transfer portal, the NIL, the process of the playoffs, everything happens at the same time. You got coaches leaving to go other places while the team is entering the playoffs. You got coordinators like Hartline and others who are leading other teams while they're in the playoffs. You got the transfer portal opened up. There's so much stuff happening, and when you go through the playoffs, you actually are behind for the next year. You celebrate a deep playoff run and all that stuff, but you start the next year behind. And if I'm Notre Dame and I feel slighted, hey, I mean, we can have practices. We don't need a bowl game. There's a ton of teams who don't make a bowl game. So what do they do during this time? All right. Let's take that approach. Guys don't get the trip. They don't get the bowl gifts, I mean, but listen, we could get our own PlayStations and
we got NIL now.
Right, we got NIL now. Like, guys are getting paid. Let's lock in and get ready for the next run. Some of these guys are going to the NFL. Some of these guys are getting ready for the combine. Hey, go to Miami, go train, go to Arizona and go train and get ready for what's next. The bowl game has the playoffs have so little meaning. I mean, the bowl game, because of the playoffs, have so little meaning. Even the championship games, man. Even the championship games. We want to say this championship game means a lot, but Oregon won the Big Ten championship last year. That wasn't a memorable season and for Oregon. Maybe for the individuals who played in it, it is. Right. But we're not talking about Oregon's Big Ten championship. If Indiana does not go on to win it all this year, and somebody else from if Ohio State wins it, if Oregon goes and win, we're not talking about Indiana's Big Ten championship. And these bowl games are, I mean, they've been diminished a little bit, over a period of time with the 14 playoff, et cetera. Or the 12-team playoff, man. Everybody's trying to get in the dance. And everybody can get in. Tulane's in it, right? James Madison in it. Everybody has hope that they can slide into this playoff and it's a successful season. So, I don't know, man. I kind of like Notre Dame kind of bucking the system, throwing their weight around. They don't have a conference to campaign for them, so we're going to do it ourselves. Hey, man, it is what it is. Like, you got to approach things differently if you really want to kind of work the system and maximize the opportunity for your school. So,
yeah. Because, I mean, for Notre Dame, though, if they was in a conference, though, on a year like this, they're most likely in the playoffs. They start trying to talk about Notre Dame, and I think they had mentioned, the AD had kind of mentioned, like, if they finish in the top 12 in ranking or something like that, they'll get an automatic bid into the playoffs or something of the sorts.
They signed this MOU, I guess, with the college football playoffs, that if Notre Dame is a top 12 team in years going forward, they will be automatically in the playoffs.
Yeah, what and that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good, but it doesn't assume because the committee still makes the ranking. So
exactly,
you get enough like you don't deserve to be in. It's put you at 13 and go on about their day. So
exactly.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I know Notre Dame's they're beefing with the ACC, so they don't like the way that they was campaigning or talking against Notre Dame. But Notre Dame has been flirting with them for basically for about 5 or 6 seasons now. Or we're going to join the ACC. We're going to schedule these ACC teams, but they don't actually do it, right? They stay on themselves. They keep their money. They keep their TV deals, and that's how they operate. So because of that, a year like this, when everything is very even, you get stung because you didn't have to go through the gripe of fighting through a conference to kind of have a chance to kind of I don't know, stamp your season more or less. So it's kind of, I don't know, the plus and minuses of the situation, man. But I don't know, man. You kind of brought up the fact that like you said, everything happens at the same time, and in regards to things, we got coaches moving, right? We got coaches that are in the playoffs. I think Jim, you coach, took a job, so I can't say where, but I think you gonna say playoffs. Yeah, UCLA. Okay.
Yep.
Lane Kiffin, his team's in the playoffs. They're in a pretty good spot, but obviously he's not going to be there to coach them, which is just, I don't know. To me, that's a little bit weird, but, you go into a big school and they say they want you there. But Hartline's our offensive coordinator, and it seems like we caught him on a flight. I think he's going down there to check some things out, but from my understanding, he's still supposed to come back to Ohio State to kind of finish out the playoff run. So good
But
for the
let
Buckeyes for that.
well, what this is an interesting thing because the if you just think about it, Brian Hartline is going to be a head coach of a team who had a lot of success this year for
Mhm.
USF. Beat Florida, could have been one of those teams like Tulane and JMU if they were able to finish the
It's
season
close.
the same
Yeah.
way they started, right? They were up there. He has to go lead that, but he is coaching through the playoffs. There's no realistic way that he could just only be doing Ohio State stuff for the next, month or month and a half or whatever and not get his process started. Hiring coaches, making sure he got recruits, making sure he has a team right? So that means he has to prepare for games and he has to start building his plan for USF. So how they handle that dynamic is going to be interesting because both things have to happen.
Yep.
Both things have to
Yep.
happen. If it's me, I'm not. I'm gonna be 100%. I'm gonna try to be 100% invested in what I'm doing here because I care about it. But I have to spend some time to prepare for what's next. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic that you kind of just have to solve for or deal with.
Yeah. Right. It's a tough one, but you know who can handle it? Brian Hartline. Brian Hartline can handle it. But no, okay, but get into this, right? So obviously, we are slotted at that number 2 spot. We're taking on the winner of Miami and Texas A&M in our first game. I Bleav where we're playing at. I think it's the Cotton Bowl. So the Cotton Bowl in Texas. That's where that game will be located at. I guess obviously we get a bye. We know last year Oregon got a bye. Then they
Right.
played Ohio State, and they didn't do too well. I guess real quick, what's your thoughts on what we need to be working on as a unit during this time to make sure that, for one, obviously you got to rest, you got to get healthy, you got to go through the award season and things of that nature. But how do you make sure you get ready that in whenever this game kicks off here, late December, that you're ready to go in your first week in the
Yeah.
playoffs versus Texas A&M or Miami? I'm gonna call it early. I'm picking Miami, but we'll get into that a little later and over the week. So a little dive into these teams. But I'm taking Miami in that game. But how do you make sure that you're ready to go in these playoffs? And what should the team be doing to kind of gear up here through December to make
Yeah.
sure we're ready
I,
for another playoff run?
I think it helps that they lost. I think it helps that their last game was a loss because it allows you to get it's easier to get through to individuals after a challenging, situation than it is when they're riding high, right?
Yeah.
And having that 2 week or whatever, however many week layoff, when the other teams are competing, that playoff level of competition is high level. So when you do it once, you get a win, and then you go into that next weekend, you're just at a different level. These other guys coming off a layoff, getting ready for a game, you're not going out to go play Rutgers or Purdue, right? You're going to play a team that's coming off a high level victory, and you gotta get to that level, and you gotta get to that level at the beginning of the game, right? If you first quarter, if you're not at that level, game could be over by then. Like
Yeah.
that team could already, and which kind of happened, Oregon, Ohio State. So that's the challenge is that level of focus, intensity. It's hard to mimic that in practice. It's really hard. Um, but that's going to be a challenge. Being able to kind of mimic that type of environment in practice. That's what the coaches are going to be tasked with. Um, but I do think, on the flip side, the benefit is just health. Everybody healthy. You don't have to worry about trying to recover from a game the week before. Tough game the week before. So I don't know. It's gonna be some challenges in that regard. Uh, but I think simply if they can improve in red zone offense, can focus on being able to pick up those blitzes, improve the run game, maybe make some decisions on who's going to be at that right guard position. Those things can help. And the kicking game is something that I don't know what they do. They got to do something because they're gonna need it going into a tough playoff run for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, to me, it's like you said, the coaches got to do what they can to get the guys ready. But to me, it's gonna come down to leadership. Whenever because the guys are in the locker room, right? You got Caleb Downs in the locker room. You got seniors. You got guys that's in there last year because maybe they're looking at their NFL career. That's most likely their last go at it. They have to lock in on the guys on the locker room to make sure that they're doing the right thing. No one is spending too much, having too many late nights. No one is half going in drills. No one is not, focusing and paying attention to detail. The coaches know. They're going to try to catch it. They're going to try to bring it, especially because they going through this experience. But it takes the leaders, the guys, to receive the coaching, receive that punch that they're going to receive from their coach, and really adhere to it, and not to say, whatever, I get it later. Because once again, you just came off a loss. You got things to work on. You just, you beat Michigan. Is that what is that what the whole season is going to be? Or are we going to, go out here and put some work in and try to get another banner, try to get that big trophy, earn those rings that we received like we did the season before? Are we going to get it done? Are we going to be able to do it? So, obviously we'll see.
And they got to go good versus good, man. They got to go one defense versus one offense. And that's for the offense. That's more so for the offense than it is for the defense, right? They got to go one defense and for our defensive backs to go against some elite receivers and just feel that level of intensity, man. They got to feel that same playoff level of intensity so that they could bring that into the game. Because otherwise, it's just it's really going to be hard to mimic that same type of situation.
No, yeah, for sure. So obviously we got a lot still coming, man. It's funny, like we kind of used to get to this part of the season here after Thanksgiving. We done did a conference championship. One more game left on the road, but now like you don't know. Like every week more things are coming out. Obviously, award season is coming upon us here. Give us some shout out to some Buckeyes who already have received some hardware. Caleb Downs for winning the Ronnie Lott Impact Award. We got Caleb Downs winning Best DB in the Big Ten. Arvell Reese winning Top Linebacker. And Caden McDonald winning Best Defensive Line, all Big Ten awards. Julian Sand winning Freshman of the Year, which sounds unfair to me. I don't know. I just could have sworn that boy was a sophomore so by now. And Jeremiah Smith winning Wide Receiver of the Year in the Big Ten as well, back-to-back with him for that award. So obviously more things are coming. The Heisman is coming up. It looks like FanDuel has the favorite right now is Mendoza. I guess no surprise there, but they still have Ohio State as the favorite to win the national championship once the playoffs kind of kicks off there. So more to come, more to come, and obviously we will be bringing it to you here at Bleav in Buckeyes. Chim, any last words to get us through the frozen tundra of December as we get ready for this playoff push, as we kind of go into this last quarter of our season?
Nah, it's just, man, it's go time. It's just go time now. So I'm just excited for the opportunity to just play whoever. I don't care. Texas A&M, Miami, Georgia. I'm excited, man. It's gonna be a good playoff run. I think we make some noise. And I'm excited to see these guys go get it done.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. And so that's going to wrap us here for our bonus episode of the week. But please follow us on all platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Leave us comments, write us questions. We love to hear from you guys. We love to discuss things when it comes to our Ohio State Buckeyes. So when it comes down to it, we just love talking football. We just love talking ball. So we're going to wrap this show up, as always, with a nice OH.
All right, yo.
Go Bucks. Talk to you guys soon.
Go Bucks.